to the secrets of happily ever after. I am so excited about my guests for today's episode. They are Christopher and Jennifer Voss. He is Mr. ROR and she is just as amazingly Mrs. ROR. And together, they help you make return on relationship. And I'm so excited for them to explain more about that later in the episode. Hey guys, how are you doing?
Doing great. So excited to be here. This is great. Love it.
Well,
And I'm here with her.
yes. Well,
I'm not
I
by
left out
myself.
all of the details of your private life because I'm wanting you to tell us a little bit about yourselves.
Right. We should let Jennifer start. I think it'd be a great place to start.
I'm Jennifer. This is Christopher. We have been married for 27 years, almost 28. We have 9 children, 1 grandchild.
I've had a number of different jobs throughout my career. I graduated from college and worked at a radio station selling airtime, selling commercials on radio stations. I did that for several years. And then, our journey is really interesting because really when you look back and you hear people get on stage and talk about, what it took to get to where they're at. And it's like all the things they went through. I lost my house. I lost my, the people talk about all the things and struggles they have in being an entrepreneur and growing a business. And so sometimes we sit down and look back and go, wow, we've really been through more than what we can remember. And so I was an account executive at a radio station. I borrowed money from my parents, started an advertising agency. So we did radio, TV, newspaper, billboards, whatever customers needed, did that. And that was my own business. And then the Michigan economy went south long before the national recession in April of 2008. When the national recession hit in April of 2008, Michigan had already gone into a recession 3 years prior. I mean, in 2006, there were neighborhoods that had 8 houses that were foreclosed or emptied here in Michigan. It's just because the automotive industry, the big 3, were very connected to what's going on with them. So when they're struggling, everyone's hurting. And so long story short, I had closed my business. I lost my business. I had let my employees go. We lost everything. I mean, the story of we've lost everything, and we did. And that was really a tough time. And that was more of a brick and mortar growth experience of a business. And then I started working full time as a marketing director. Jennifer stayed at home with the kids. And then I made a transition and was promised the world. The person we ended up working for to make a career change was a really bad person. And he let me go 2 weeks after being there. And that was going to be a really big change for our family. And it was, hey, we can go on vacations now. And there's all these wonderful things. And then I came home and told my wife after 2 weeks, she was working full time now, or part-time, right? Part-time at the school for our school district. And I had to come home and said, I got fired today. Like no severance, no nothing. It's just, you're done. And I'm like, okay, I got 9 kids. I just made this career change. Everything was going to be wonderful. And I just lost my job. Then that was I went to an event called Funnel Hacking Live, which you might know about. I went to that event and came home from that event, worked for a week, and then he fired me. It wasn't because I went to the event. He knew I was going to the event, but just to kind of give you a point of reference. And then after I got fired a week later, the first cases of COVID hit Washington State. And then the country shut down and I was fired and didn't have a job. And so it really forced my hand to go all in on return on relationship and ROR, which we can talk about later if we have time. I had to run this business and start it from, I had to build this from home. I didn't have any choice. There were no jobs and you couldn't go into work anyway if you had a job. Jennifer continued to work and then her job turned into full-time, which was great for benefits and whatnot. And so we've really been through the gauntlet as far as businesses and growing them. And we've had a lot of different experiences. So I think we might be a good case study for you for what works and doesn't work and how we were able to navigate and get through it as a couple without getting divorced or hating each other and then just so much has happened. Jennifer got diagnosed with a brain tumor over the last couple of years. We went through that. I mean, we look back and we're like, okay, we've thrown a lot of curveballs, but we let a lot of those balls go by. We didn't swing at them. Occasionally we're up there with swinging the bat around at these curveballs, and we just get tired. But so anyway, that's a little bit of our background. We have 9 kids, and I mean, we're a happy family, and we love our children, and Jennifer and I love each other. At least I think she does. She does. So that's us in a nutshell.
I love it. Do you remember how you found me?
I think I found you through, I think just because we have mutual friends in the digital marketing world, in the online space. And I think I got one of your posts. I think one of your posts on Facebook got displayed to me, and I clicked on it, and I enjoyed it, and I liked it. And I'm like, wow, this person seems amazing. And then I saw that we had mutual friends, some really good mutual friends. And I'm like, well, this is someone that would be interesting to get to know and follow. And then I think I reached out, and you told me about what you did, and we helped each other collaborate on a couple of things. And then you told me about the course that you had, which I would love to talk about. Jennifer, I took your course, and it was really helpful. And so I think I just saw a post on Facebook. I
Yeah.
think that was it.
And you participated in one of my very first Seduce Your Spouse challenges. And did
That
you
was
do
it.
together, or was that just you?
No, that was it. It was, hey, Monica's having this challenge. And I'm like, you know, you never want to go to your spouse and go, hey, there's this thing that will be good for our relationship. Would you like to do it with me? But I kind of threw a softball out there. I'm like, hey, this seems really great. Do you want to do it with me? And she's like, yeah. So yeah, we did the challenge together. What'd you think of that?
It's good.
I loved it. One of the things in the challenge is you learn what your love language is. We kind of knew a little bit, sort of what our love languages were, and we've been exposed to that, but we never really zeroed in on it. So really, from your challenge, we've gone all in on gifts and words of affirmation. And I'm physical touch, like 99.9% physical touch and some% something else. So, but we found that out, and it was really great because it's just, when you know that, I mean, it's sometimes nice to be able to say, you can't see in the video, but Jennifer just touched the back of my neck. So I'm good for an hour. I'm good. And I'm going to give her this piece of paper. Here's your gift. Here's a pen for you. But it was good to know that. And we learned that in your challenge. And so I think that's when we went through your challenge, we learned, like, wow, we've been married for we've been married for 25-ish years when we went through your challenge. And it's like, well, what could we learn that someone else could teach us after being married for so long and having 9 kids? And we walked away from it going, there's a lot that we don't know, or there's a lot that we think we know that we really could expand upon and do better. So then that's when we took the next step and said, you know what, you've got more that we can learn from. And we went a little bit deeper and did the next thing.
Yeah, I love that. And one of the characteristics I've learned of happy couples is that they're always growing and learning. Like, they're never like, oh, we've got this, we've got the best marriage ever, right? Like, there's always growth that you can find in your marriage. I think, having a great marriage is a lifelong pursuit. Like, you never actually get there. You're just always improving.
It's funny when you say that. I always thought, I'd look at couples that were married 25 years or 30 years and thought, oh, well, they know everything about how it works, and they figured it all out. And then when we get to that point, it's like, oh, we really know nothing except for, we've learned a few things that we've implemented, but there's so much more to learn. But you'd think, oh, we've been together so long that, we know everything about each other, but we don't.
Right. Well, but life is always changing, right? Like, new level, new devil, right? You get through that young childhood phase, and then you've got older children, and then you've got adult children, and that's like a whole new ball game. And then you have grandchildren, and I mean, you're like doing life together, but there's always new challenges and new curveballs and different ways to relate to each other and support each other and work as a team. So what would you say was maybe a challenge you were facing before you discovered the Seduce Your Spouse challenge and my all of my programs and things?
Possibly being able to get rid of some of those things that were expectations or like always looking for, there's always good. So if we're looking for it, we're going to find it.
Mhm.
And, if I'm always looking at the negative things about Chris, which there's not very many,
I was going to say, hold on, wait a second.
but if that's what I'm looking for, then that's what I'm always going to see. And that's one thing that I remember from listening to you was that we got to be looking for the good things, the positive things. Chris, he's a much better housekeeper than I am. It's just a talent that he has. He's better at it. And I always saw that as so negative. That's my job as the mom and the homemaker is to do that. And when he would try to do it, or when he wouldn't just try, when he would do it, I would kind of get defensive and angry, like, this is mine, this is me. But he's so much better at it now. I'll see him doing something in the house, and instead of saying, well, why is he doing that? That he shouldn't be doing that. I think, oh, look at him doing that for me or for us, making things better. Then that's what I'm going to see is, I can turn that into something positive.
I love that. That's so cool.
You're so nice.
What about you,
It's-
Chris? Was there anything that you maybe were frustrated with before?
It's funny, you live long enough, you learn that a lot of things that you do now as adult, it's something that you acquired or learned when you're a child. It's something your parents did, or how they treated each other, or really, when you go back, you're like, oh my word, I can take this all the way back to an experience when I was a kid. And one of the things that, and this is still a struggle for me today, is I not require, my happiness has a lot to do with Jennifer's happiness. And one of the things we learned as we went through your, I hate to call it, I guess they call it a course, whatever. When we went through your program,
Mhm.
you talked about being, you got to be 100% control of myself, 100% control of you're 100% control of yourself. You're 100% control of your experiences. And then it's really important. It's not your job to make the other person happy in the relationship, that you want to help that person be 100% themselves. And so what that said to me was, okay, you can, like, I spent a lot of time trying to have Jennifer be the wife or the relationship that I envisioned in my mind, that I was conditioned for, that this is the way things should be. Like, we come from a culture where usually women don't work outside of the home. They stay at home. Well, for 25 years, Jennifer stayed at home and I worked. And now she works full time and I work from home. And for me, that was a major thing I had to shift in my mind, because it's like, no, well, that's not right. That's not the way it should be. It's like, well, no, that is okay. So I guess what I'm saying is being 100% in control of myself and my experiences, and then not being responsible for making Jennifer happy and having her not be responsible for making me happy. It's okay that we try and make each other happy, but it's not their responsibility. And if I can help her be the best version of herself and I can be the best version of myself, the realization was, holy cow, if you have two people that are trying to be the best possible self and experience, and you've got two people that are helping the other person be the best, we're going to be the best possible people for our kids, our family, life, and we're going to be able to deal with stuff a whole lot easier. We're going to get along better. And just, I kind of look at that as ground zero. And so that was a really big help to us, because I was very dependent of this wonderful person sitting next to me to fill my bucket and make me happy. And it's like, crap, no, and I still struggle with it, because like, if she has a bad day, I'm just like, but it's like, no, it's okay. Or just being responsible, owning, you have to own it. You have to own it. And so that's been very helpful to us, for me. I guess for us, we've talked about it, and it's not easy. It still takes work, but we both know that we want to try and make ourselves the best possible version of ourselves, and then we'll be good for each other. It makes everything better. But after being married for so long, we needed some people to tell us that that was okay. And that, like Jennifer said, we thought we knew everything, but it's like, we don't. And that's okay. And
Yeah.
especially with being an entrepreneur and growing businesses and just, I mean, being an entrepreneur, holy smokes. Everyone thinks this great, wonderful life, you make tons of money. And it's like, no, it's like climbing Mount Everest.
Yeah. Jennifer should know. I remember when I was pregnant with my first baby and I was reading What to Expect When Expecting, and it said in there that being pregnant is like climbing Mount Everest every single day. So she's done that for 9 months, 9 times. And now she's doing it with you as you're, building and growing and scaling your business. So there's a lot of climbing Mount Everest going on around here.
Yeah, but there's people that have been to the mountain. There's people the great thing about it is we talk being married for 27 years. You never understand, well, God, how in the world could they get divorced? They've been together for 27 years. How is that possible? I mean, they've spent all this time together and all these experiences.
They're just going to throw it away.
Yeah, like that makes no sense. And we were so judgmental. And it's like, what? Get it together. You've been married for 27 years. Come on. But then when we got there, we're like, oh man, this is like the hardest. I mean, it gets really hard when you've been married for so long because you're like, you know what? I'm going to go start over with someone else and have a whole new set of problems. And then by the time that it gets really bad, we'll be old and die anyway. So it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But I mean,
or you possibly think, well, we've been going this way for so long. There's no way to change.
Mhm.
Like Chris said, he had to change how he thought about me going to work or whatever. And you could go along and think, oh, there's no way to change anything, or, this is how it's going to be. So I'm going to have to get out in
Mhm.
order to have it be better or make myself happy. But that's not the case. Change is possible.
Yeah, change is possible. And people invest so much money in self-help stuff and the next shiny object. I mean, the space that I'm in, you see people are like trying all these different things all the time. And it's like one thing they need to be investing in. And that's one thing we realize we need to invest in us. Even after being married for 27 years, we have to listen to people and learn stuff. And I mean, we went to therapy a year after we were married. Was it like
It was longer than that, but
yeah, early in our marriage, we went to therapy, not because it's like we're going to get divorced, our marriage is on the rocks. We did it because we wanted tools so that when things got difficult, we could tap into those tools. And so people that are listening to this, if you want to learn from Jennifer and Christopher, 27 years of marriage is going to come. It will come someday. Getting there will be a whole lot easier if you invest in your marriage. And it's so funny, Monica, it took us how many years to take us to realize we have to like maybe invest a little bit more in us and learn. I mean, it was kind of self-help for a while, but it would have been a lot easier if we would have maybe been more, but that was more me because it's like, I'm going to fix everything and I don't need help and I can figure this all out. And maybe it's a guy thing. I don't know.
What's interesting is I've learned working with people over the last several years is when you're young and you're married, you're very distracted with a lot of things, right? You're raising children, you're starting careers, you're busy, you have a social life most of the time. And so you're just really, really busy and you're not investing a lot into the relationship. You're mostly taking from it. And then you get to be about, married 20 plus years, 25, and the challenges start to come, right? And things start to change because you've invested a ton in your children, but your children are growing up and leaving, and you've invested a lot in your career, but it's getting close to retirement now. And you've had your parents have been healthy, but now all of a sudden their health is deteriorating. And so it's like you're facing all of these challenges. However, if you haven't properly invested in your relationship, now you're looking at each other like, I don't even know if we like each other very much. Like, we've definitely hurt each other's feelings a whole ton. You've got all this resentment, all of these unmet expectations. And, so to your point, it's like you get to that place with all those challenges and you're like, maybe I should just quit, cut my losses and start over with someone who doesn't hate me, right? Like I I don't have all this baggage and all this past experience that I have to get
Right.
through. Or the people that come and see me, they're like, hey, we didn't really invest a lot into our relationship and now we need it. And so can we turn this around? Can we unravel this resentment and can we see the good in each other? Because otherwise, we're not going to make it. So it's like people either decide to start over with somebody brand new who doesn't have all the baggage, or they've gone, we've invested so much into this relationship, we've got all these kids and these things that we've built together, so can we figure out how to turn it around and build on common ground again? So that's what I help people do, and it's really about rewriting that story. It's about taking all that resentment and ditching it, and then writing their happily ever after love story, which is so much fun for me.
I remember you said in your program, it's raining outside. I'm like, oh, it sucks, it's raining outside. Well, what story or what headline are you
Yeah.
writing that goes with that? And then I think of experiences that we go through, and it's like, okay, what headline am I writing about what's happening tonight? But you're rewriting that story, and you talked about expectations. That was an eye opener, I know, for both of us. When you say, when you have those, you're going to get gigantically disappointed all the time because we're human beings that think different. But I like the fact that we're different, and I think we can win more. And one thing that has really been good for Jennifer and I, and she can speak the truth to this because she's here, but we try and be equally yoked as much as possible. Because I always have the analogy in my head of two oxen yoked together. We can move. I mean, Jennifer and I are unstoppable we can carry a heavy load. We can move a boulder together. Look at what I'm saying. If one of us isn't 100%, I mean, you talk about all the time, be 100%. If you're not 100%, then you got one pushing harder than the other one. And you get this, my neck's getting sore from the yoke pushing on it. I'm pulling your weight. And it's just, I don't know, just being equally yoked and being the best possible version of herself has been a realization. And that's one thing I think I'm so grateful for about Jennifer is she really strives to be the best person of herself. And you want to talk about someone that's been through adversity. She lost her mom when she was 15. She was 15 when her mom died of cancer. Her dad had multiple sclerosis. All those things before you're even an adult yet. Those of you watching, look at how amazing the person is that you're with, and look for those good things, because you'll be surprised. And you did a really great exercise, which I've been through several times, Monica, about, look for all a certain color thing in the room. I don't want to spoil it because I'll ruin it, but I've been through that exercise before. And seriously, there's things that you don't notice that you're missing. There's things about Jennifer that I didn't notice, and you got to get someone to point it out to you. So yeah. Obviously, if you're listening to this, I'm the talker in the relationship. Jennifer has amazing things to say, but she's just not a big talker. I wish she'd talk because she's amazing.
Jennifer, tell me about your experience in training in the art of, it was called something different when you took it, but it's basically training in the art of connection. What was your experience in that course?
It helped me to really, one thing that I struggle with, or I still struggle with it, is putting, and like Chris said, putting our relationship first. So if you see a picture of our family, usually Chris and I are right next to each other, because he's like, I don't want it to be you on one side, me on the other side, and the kids in the middle. Because when they go, then there's this separation between us.
A chasm.
Wise,
And
very wise.
And the going through the course helped me to realize those things, that it has to be put first. This marriage, it's like putting your oxygen mask on. If we're not okay, if we're not growing, then it's going to affect all those people, but also eventually all those people, all those little kids are going to go and make their own marriages and their own families. And then there's Chris and I, and do we love each other? Are we happy together? Are we putting each other first? Those 100%. I think we go through a lot of years of just going through the motions, and your course helps you put that aside and say, no, I am putting this first because this is the most important thing. You know, the day we got married, I know I thought, oh, this will be wonderful. And he'll always be number one to me. I'll always be number one to him. And then you go through and you lose sight of that. I think your program has helped me get my sight back where it should be on us together.
That's so cool. I remember before I got married, I was in this class and there was this quote about how God comes first, your spouse comes second, and then your kids come third, and then everything else kind of behind that. And I remember thinking to myself, well, that's dumb. No way. Once I have kids, my kids will come first. And I
Right.
literally like scratched out the quote and like changed it. And then I also remember about 8 years into my marriage when I had 3 kids, and I was like, I suck at this. Like, this is not working because I was doing what I thought was right, which was to put my kids first. And I wasn't putting our relationship first. And it wasn't until I figured that out that, like, oh, that quote was actually correct. And if I put my spouse first, always, it's like the two of us against the kids, or, I put our relationship before the kids, like the kids benefit so much from that. It's like, really, I've learned over the years that when a couple puts each other first before their children, they are actually giving their children the best possible gift and opportunity for success possible, because they take care of each other and they take care of themselves. The couple takes care of themselves and they take care of each other. And that gives those children not only a great example, but also the freedom to go out and to live their life on their own terms. They don't have to worry that it's their job to take care of mom because mom and dad don't get along, or whatever that is, right? It's like, when you don't get that in the right order, those kids suffer.
Yeah, they suffer, and in the end, we suffer. And I mean, everybody wants to be happier, and you want a better relationship. And big thing, I think the world has a different headline or different. The world writes a completely different story than the things that you teach. I mean, we just turn on the TV and it's like, okay, no, that's not where you want to go get that training from. And I think it's hard not to be influenced by that because there's just so much of it out there. And what are you focusing on? And yeah, you just have to go all in. And yeah, if I could go on a time machine and go back, there were so many things I would do differently. But you know what? You have to forgive yourself. You have to say, okay, you know what? I was still figuring this thing out. We still are. The most important thing is it's possible. You can be happy. You don't have to give up.
It's never too late to be happy, for sure.
Absolutely.
Can each of you think of something that has changed in your relationship since taking the Training in the Art of Connection course?
So after we did the love language, so his love language is physical touch, which is like the opposite of me. Just don't touch. Yeah. And so I Googled one day, I was at work and I had listened to, like, so he would tell me, you got to listen to this one today. And so I would sit at work and with my earbuds in, and I would listen to the module. And I remember after figuring out, how important physical touch is to him, because I guess at first I was kind of like, well, physical touch is his, but it's not mine. So who cares about it for him? I kind of put it aside because it wasn't important to me. So anyways, I Googled your husband's or your spouse's love language is physical touch, but you hate it. And I found a couple of articles about it, and I found like 100 ways to do physical touch for your spouse in a way that wasn't painful for you. And I think it really helped me. There are times still where I'm like, okay, I can do this. I can hold your hand, and I know that sounds kind of selfish. Like, I don't want to do that, but as a mom, you get pecked all day by these chickens, it feels like. And finally, when you don't have to, it's like, oh, but I still have to. But I think just focusing on that, being reminded to focus on that really helped me be able to express that to him, to show him how important he was to me and that part of him is to me.
Love it. And she touched me while she was saying that, which is really great. I mean, seriously, Monica, there's so many things, and it wouldn't be, it would be, I kind of feel I'm not giving justice to, or being fair to, there's so much in there, and it was great. And the nice thing about it too is the way you teach. I mean, a lot of times you would share a lot of experiences that happened in your own relationship, in your own marriage. And that's great, because a lot of people get up there and it's like, this is what you need to do. And it's like, well, does this person really believe what they're doing, or have they applied this, or where is this coming from? And what was really refreshing is you would give real experiences of things that happened for yourself, which was really nice to have that in there. And then for me, I think probably if I had to pick one thing, filling my own cup is probably if I had to pick one, and you're telling me to pick one right now. So filling your cup, and how important that is to do that for yourself. I mean, because if I already come in and my cup's full, all she's going to do is overflow it and make it even more. And so, I mean, you're starting off good and not empty. And I think that was a big realization for us. And I mean, there's so many other things we can get into. I mean, there's lots of stuff in there. There's so many components to making a marriage work. But when you understand where the your person's coming from, you understand where you're coming from, you understand what you need to do for yourself and how you need to make the other person the best possible of themselves, you turn out and you win in the game. So I want to try and make Jennifer, I want to try and help her be the best 100% of herself as possible. And I know that she's trying to do that for me. And I think that has really helped us. We learned that from you, and it's not easy to apply it. I mean, it's great, but you have to work at it. But it's almost like watching just those old Polaroid things. You take those pictures and then it comes out the front, and you sit there and you wave the picture around until it develops.
Yes.
I've really literally, like, our relationship, would you agree? It's like you're just seeing something come into focus and be more clear, and you're like, wow, this is really a nice picture. Versus being a blurry mess. So did I answer your question? Did I give you, did I do that? Okay.
So
Okay.
cool. And I love the way you describe that too. I might have to use that analogy of the Polaroid, because I think that's true. I think, honestly, you get married and you're very young versions of yourself, and you only know what you know. And a lot of that is just the conditioning you bring with you from being raised in the families you were raised in, or past relationships. And so you go through life and you accidentally you hurt each other, and you do things that are hurtful to the other person. And it's not until you recognize your power, your ability to write your own story, your ability to grow and change, and you start investing in the relationship, that you kind of overcome that younger version of yourself that's just going on autopilot, and you intentionally then develop in a way that creates unity and trust and safety and intimacy. So I think it's really beautiful when that Polaroid comes out and it all starts to come into focus, and you realize I have so much power to create the story I want to be remembered for. And then it starts to come into focus, right? And it just, all of a sudden, you have this beautiful picture, and you get to leave your own legacy. You get to write that story. And so when you start to realize that, like, the book's not finished, like, I'm still writing this ending, and it can be beautiful, and it can be something that I pass down to my children and their children and their children after that. You really start to invest in the story. You start to invest in the development of those characters. And it's really, really a cool thing when you stop living on autopilot and you become the author of your own love story. So I really appreciate you guys, all that you added to the course, and just, being a part of it. And I learned just as much from you as I think that you learned from me. But I want to take a moment to talk about ROR because I actually think there's so many components of ROR that are very similar to marriage. And I love the way the two of you work together. It's so fun to talk to you, Chris, when you're RORing somebody and you get all excited and Jennifer did this research and found out about this. And like, like you guys support each other so well in that business. And so I want you to tell the listeners a little bit more about it and how they can learn more about ROR because it is such a valuable resource in a business for sure.
Thank you. It's, everyone wants to be connected with a lot of, your network of people that you associate with. Your friends, your business friends, your non-business friends, that you hear a lot that your network equals your net worth. And Jim Rohn talks about you're the sum. What's that? Oh, flipped out. Yeah, sorry. Some people like to say, just your network equals your net worth. Those are people. And Jim Rohn talks about how you're the sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And I believe the growth of your business is the sum of the 5 people you have the biggest, strongest relationship with that can help you go to the next level. There's so many people out there that have been to the top of the mountain. We talked about Mount Everest. There's so many people out there that have scaled Mount Everest 20, 30 times. And wouldn't it be a good idea to network with these people, build a relationship with them, and be able to turn your heroes into your friends? And that's what I've been able to do, is taking all my heroes, most of them, and turn them into my friends. And the way you do that is how you show up in their life, showing them gratitude, serving them, doing things for them. And so return on relationship, if I had to sum it up, there's a great movie with Will Smith called Hitch, and Alex Hitchens, the character, he helps the geeky Albert Brennemans of the world become connected with their dream dates. Albert Brenneman was in love with Allegra Cole. And how do I get her attention? She's a billionaire. How is she going to be interested in this geeky account that makes $80,000 a year and isn't really like this super handsome guy? And so Hitch helps these guys get the attention of their dream dates, their dream women they want to date. And so what we do is people come to us and say, hey, I want you to teach me how to get the attention of these individuals so that they respond positively to me and I can develop an authentic, not a fake, but authentic relationship where there's reciprocity, where, who cares about you, who you care about, who knows you, who do you know? And you want to dig your well before you're thirsty. And the best analogy, Monica, that I can say about return on relationship is you never really understand how heavy a door is until you take the pins out and you take the door off the hinges. And you're like, oh my word, this thing weighs a ton. Come over here and help me. You're getting all your kids around to lift this door off because it's so heavy. And you're like, how does this heavy door swing on these 2 or 3 little hinges successfully? And it's slammed and sometimes it's not. And so everything in life and business swings on hinges. And those hinges are called relationships. And those relationships, as little or as big as you think they are, literally open up doors of opportunity in your life and in your business. I met you. I never would have known Monica. See, this is what's crazy about this. And I love this tie-in. I'm going to tie it all in here. I'm going to wrap it up really nice for us. But I never would have met you if it wasn't for a relationship of a mutual friend that we have by a guy by the name of Russell Brunson. The 2 of us lost a dear friend yesterday. I never would have known this amazing person. I wouldn't have been able to have this person influence me so positively in my life. I wouldn't have that relationship with this person if it wasn't for meeting, that Russell. I would be dead. I had a stroke. Jennifer would be a widow. She'd be doing this interview alone with you, with some other guy. I don't know. She said she'll never remarry, but a relationship saved my life. Relationships have set up my business and ROR to a point where I can operate and run a business and support and contribute to my family along with Jennifer. And so everything in life and business hinges on relationships, and it's so important to invest in them. And every single person that comes in your life is important, to build that relationship and connect with them. And like I said, I'll close the circle, close the loop here. Jennifer and I wouldn't have had an opportunity to go through your amazing course if I never would have met you. I never would have met you if it wasn't for the relationship I had with somebody else that introduced me to you. And so life is a pretty picture. I think of those connect the dots, where you go point 1 to point 2 to point 3 to point 4. And then when you get to 300 at the end, you look back and it's this beautiful picture of a unicorn. Every relationship in your life is important, and take advantage of it and invest in it. And you'll be able to develop some relationships that will help your life and business. You've helped our marriage. Other relationships have helped my business. And so
that's what ROR does. That's what your business does.
that's what I
teach people how to do it,
Yeah.
Thank you.
how to build those relationships.
We teach it. We teach you how to do it, and then we do it for you. So people hand us a list. I want to be connected with these 5 people. Help me do it. And we do it on their behalf. And it's not like, oh, that's impersonal because you're doing this for somebody. People hire wedding planners to put on amazing weddings, and the bride doesn't say, this wedding stinks because you had that person plan it. Like, no, this was amazing. So we stay in the shadows. People don't know that we do this for them. We do it in secret, but we love teaching people it. The reason, we love teaching because you see these light bulbs go off of all the possibilities of like, wow, I could have a relationship with these people and it would change my business if I could interview this person, or if they interviewed me, or if I did a joint venture with them. Relationships are opportunity. They say luck is, oh, you're lucky. We believe that, preparation and opportunity equals luck. The preparation is focusing on those relationships and building them. And then the opportunity will come. Like we're on here with this interview with me, that's an opportunity that all started through a relationship. So return on relationship is something that we love. It's a great business that we can do together. And Jennifer can find anything about she is great. You have to find out if you want to move someone and create an emotional response, you want to do something for them that they're going to look and go, this is the nicest thing anyone's ever done for me. Thank you so much. What can I do for you? And so she's amazing. She'll ring me and say, you won't believe what I found out about this person. This would be a great gift to get for them. They'll love it. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's a great idea. How'd you find that out? Like, well, if I told you all my secrets.
Magic, right? I
So-
just made a realization about Jennifer. She is a great gift giver, and gifts is her love language. So that makes total sense.
She comes up with incredible ideas. So yes, you're 100% right. So yeah, we love it and it's great. And so that's the business when I got fired and came home. And wow. I'll try and do this without crying. Our mutual friend that we lost to cancer yesterday, ROR wouldn't be a business if it wasn't for that person. Dave Woodward gave me the name of what is your ROI versus your ROR. He did a podcast or did a Facebook Live about it one day. And I'm like, that's a really cool name. Can I use that for my business? So return on relationship is from a relationship that I had with this amazing man who started with, I met someone else, and just, it's all connected. So hopefully those of you who are listening, hopefully that describes a little bit about what we do. We can always talk more about it, but thanks for giving us a chance to talk about what we do.
So good. Well, I love it. Return on relationship. That is the name of your business, but return on relationship is what we do when we get married, right? We just have the opportunity to learn how to support others and get close to others and learn about others and, delight and surprise others. I just think it's such a cool way to be in the world, right? Is if we're always looking for opportunities to serve somebody who we love and, develop that relationship together. So thank you guys for being here. This has been so awesome.
Thank you so much. And thank you for everything you've done. And when you're listening to this, look more into what Monica has to offer. It's worth it.
Sure.
What's that?
For sure.
For sure. Invest in yourself, invest in your relationship, invest in each other, spend the time, and you'll be happier.
Well,
I promise.
thank you. And let people know where they can find more information about ROR.
Yes, RORuniversity.com.
To learn more ways to deepen your intimacy and strengthen your relationship, make sure you watch this video next.